Hello! In this lesson, we are going to learn the possessive structures in Turkish. The phrases that indicate possession and their internal structure. After studying this lesson, you'll make sentences referring to people's possessions. Specifically, you'll learn to say, my book, your picture, her car is blue, what is the date today, whose pen is this? So this lesson introduces the possession phrase, one of the most basic and important structures in Turkish. Please make a strong effort to learn it well right now. It will definitely make your life easier in this class, okay? So let's start with the genitive suffix. Genitive suffix is added to the ordinary pronouns such as ben, sen, o to make them possessors. So they become my, your, his or her, right? In Turkish, this is how it happens. Ben, benim. Sen, senin. O, onun, biz, bizim, siz, sizin, onlar, onların. Okay, so notice the genitive suffix, which marks the possessor, is for the first persons and n for the second persons, right? So remember, when we were learning the first dialogue, we were learning benim, adım, senin, adın, right? And I was stressing this sound of for the first person, for the second person, for that reason. Whenever you hear it's going to be my, and the second person is going to be ne. So you might say that, well, you know, Didem, this third person also has ne in it, but that initial ne comes only after vowels, and I'll talk about it in a bit, okay? All right. Now, let's work on the possessed noun, which will follow the pronoun, because we want to say my book, right? So possessed noun is book in this case. In Turkish, the noun indicating the possessed thing agrees with the possessor in person and number. So here's what happens to the possessed noun. And I want to explain this with an example. Let's take okul as an example, all right? So we're gonna say my school, your school, his or her school. Benim okulum. Senin okulun, onun okulu, bizim okulumuz, sizin okulunuz, onların okulları. So you see the possessed noun okul, or the school, will take the possessed suffix, which is very similar to the genitive suffix that is attached to the pronoun. So the first person is the second person is so, you know, watch those suffixes that I marked with red, so it will be easier to see. So far so good, right? Let me say a few words. If the possessed word ends with a vowel, then things are going to change a little bit, because then the possessed suffix will start with a consonant. Let's work on an example, and this time, for instance, take bahçe, which is garden. We learned bahçe last week, right? So and it ends with a vowel. So let's see what happens when we add the possessed suffix to it. Benim bahçem, senin bahçen, onun bahçesi, bizim bahçemiz, sizin bahçeniz, onların bahçeleri. All right. you see the initial vowel in the suffix drops after vowel final stems. But then I'm sure you can't wait to ask what happened to the third person and where is this se is coming from in onun bahçesi, right? So, well, the se at the beginning of the third person suffix is there after vowels, but not after consonants. So, you know, we say onun okulu, but we say onun bahçesi because bahçe ends with a vowel. Okay, se pops up as a buffer after vowels. Because when you think about it, the third person possessed suffix is actually, and it's the suffix itself is a vowel, and two vowels don't come together in Turkish, so we need a buffer usually to be able to say it. This is your introduction to the possessive structures in Turkish. We will add more to it later, but for now, this is good. Before I let you go and practice, I would like to talk about one more thing, and this is called consonant alteration. All right? So there are 4 consonants that change, or I'd say soften, when they are attached to vowels. All right? So this is going to happen when you use these words ending with these consonants. So I'm going to explain this, each of them with an example, all right? So the first one is pe. And the words, for instance, an example for this, we already know a word that we can use for an example is kitap. So when you add the first person possessed suffix to kitap, which is right? It becomes kitabım. So pe becomes be, right? So it softens, right? Kitabım. I mean, so you can imagine that, you know, this vowel actually softens the consonant, if you want to imagine that way. Kitap, kitabım. The second one is çe. A good example is ağaç, which we know already, which means tree, right? And then let's add to ağaç. Ağacım. Çe becomes ce, right? So the third one is te. And you have a beautiful word ending with te. I know you like this word a lot. Kağıt, which means paper. Once you add the first person possessive suffix to it, kitabım. I'm sorry, kağıdım. It becomes kağıdım. So te becomes de. And finally, ke. The words ending with ke becomes yumuşak ge. And the word you know, çocuk, which means child, it's çocuğum. Becomes yumuşak ge. Çocuğum. All right? So there are a lot of exercises in your worksheet which will allow you to practice everything I just talked about in this video. Please work carefully on your own. We'll also spend a lot of time practicing in class because possessive structures are very important in Turkish. So get ready. Şimdi evde çalışıyorsunuz. Yarın sınıfta görüşürüz. Kolay gelsin.